Howdy, howdy, everybody. Welcome to the show. You may notice I am joined by Boxwife today. Very lovely, but not as lovely as Danica. She is on assignment this week, and by on assignment, I mean just not in the space to be on the show in terms of like, I don't know, do the brain things. Yeah, not well and sniffy and whatnots, which is fun when you want to do like a streaming. It's a good thing that I started it like this. We're doing great. Thank you all for joining us. There she is, hanging out on that producer's end, making sure this is going to go okay. Even remotely. So a couple weeks ago, we said that we'll have some special guests on the show. We do. We'll get to those really shortly. We've got a few questions here too. I'm not sure exactly which trade paperback were you looking for, and were you looking for it from us? Because we could figure that out pretty quick here. But yeah, so a few things on the show today. School's back, so we're going to be talking a little bit about some of the school programming that we do, and a meeting that I had this past week, which was really cool. And of course, the new comics. But before we get to all of that, we have a couple of very special guests that will be joining us very, very shortly. They have a new graphic novel out next week called Ghoster Heights with their co-creator, Lisa LaRose, with colors by Becca Carey. I believe colors. They'll correct me if I'm wrong. I'm so sorry. But just to do the quick pitch that's on the back here, welcome to the neighborhood. I love that. I've been reading PDFs of this for so long that I haven't actually like fully drank in this whole experience. Oh my goodness. When 8-year-old Ona and her father move into her Baba's apartment complex after a traumatic event, they're hoping for a clean start. Then Ona befriends a ghost she finds living in the boiler room, and things get complicated. As Ona and Haunty try to rid their neighbors of the less friendly apparitions who haunt the building, they discover that there may be scarier things to face than ghosts. An earnest and hopeful graphic novel about grief, loss, and the fears that haunt us all. For fans of Brenda Thumler's Sheets and Delicates, some of our favorites. Right. I behind the camera stuff that I'm completely failing on right now. There's a private chat function. Look at us just going through these things live. We're a professional outfit here. So apologies to these awesome people for that introduction. But we have Corey Lansdell and Kelly Mellings here. Say hello.
Hey.
Hello.
We are very, very happy to have you here today. I know this has been in the works for quite some time as a part of the initial Vault Wonderbound launch. And I just wanted to go over maybe a little bit of how this came to be.
All right. Well, Corey and I have known each other since high school, and we were always making stories together and doing all sorts of fun stuff like that, and drawing superheroes and comic books when we were kids. And I guess a few years ago, during the launch of The Outside Circle, I illustrated a graphic novel. It was Patty Laboucaine Benson's PhD thesis, kind of wrapped within this crime story. We went to TCAF for the launch. It was around 2016,
14.
I think.
14,
no, 2015 was a book was out,
Oh.
and then it might have been 2015, 16.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Also, 2015 was the book because you folks also helped launch our store.
Yeah, which was awesome.
Okay,
It was
cool.
such a great launch.
Mhm.
So when we went to TCAF, and Corey came down, and we talked to a few Canadian publishers there, and we had some of our samples. We wanted to do some more like kids books and stuff like that, and we had a different comic idea, that one that we're working on now with another local artist, Al Wincup. And we were showing this piece around just as like a sample of some of our work. We thought it might be a video game. And one of the editors at Owl Kids was like, "This is a kid series of graphic novels." And Corey and I were like, "Yeah, it is."
Of course it is.
Yeah. And so we, on the plane ride home, we like wrote, and then we really pushed that, and we had like an ash can for San Diego in like 2018, and we had really amazing response from people like Stan Sakai and Jeff Smith's like team that were there. People were like, "Oh, this is really cool." We also were like, we had it submitted with Comixology, and they were like considering it for one of the originals. So it was like a really like kind of like exciting time there. It ended up not kind of like hitting, and we thought, okay, well, we love this process. Let's see what else we can do. And then one day I was wrestling with my daughters, and my youngest daughter decided she was going to be a hero called Ghoster, because we just decide, I'm like, I'm going to be Rock Dad, and I'm made of rocks. And Verity, my oldest, will be like, I'm Fire Girl made of fire. And then Mina this time said, well, I'm Ghoster. And we're like, what's Ghoster? And she's like, I'm just a cool little girl with attitude, and I'm holding a ghost on a string like a balloon. And I'm like, that's awesome. I've never seen that imagery. And I thought it was so cool. And I'm like, there's a nugget there. There's something there. And I took it to Corey, and Corey's one of the best collaborators ever. He never says no to something. He's always like that improv thing of like, yes, and. So that was the initial nugget, and we yes and on that. And Lisa came into the picture because we worked on a few commercial projects with her, and we did like a public service kind of comic book for, I believe, it's kind of a youth organization to help young kids. And they wanted like a style that was kind of Raina Tegmeyer-ish, that kind of middle grade style. And we pulled her in because we'd met her at a local illustrators group, and she like totally nailed it. She was awesome. She wasn't doing too much comics, but she just like was so good at it and knew the language, everything like that. That was the start of that, and we pulled Lisa in, and we showed her the script, and I had some art direction and like early kind of like concept ideas to her, and she just like ran with it, and that was the start of that. And then do you want to talk about how we brought it to Wonderbound, Corey?
Sure, you go ahead. You're doing just fine.
All right. Well, so then we got together some pitch documents, and so we had a lot of experience with the previous piece, the Heroes of Harborsville, which will be called the Hero's Journey now. So we had a lot of experience like putting together a really nice pitch, and we had a lot of publishers say like, this is like what I'd love to see. This is what I use to show people. And so I actually submitted it to Groundwood Books, and they said no, it wasn't quite right for the line, and they were okay with it. I submitted it to Random House Kids. They were starting a new line, and we had a contact there with their amazing new editor. And they reviewed it. They liked it, but they said it wasn't for them too. And then we submitted to Wonderbound. And at that time, they were looking for genre books, and that's what they are, is genre middle grade books. And we're like, oh, this is perfect. Corey and I, the reason why we're doing these books is we love genre, and we love stuff that has a meaning to it. And so this was like a perfect fit for us. I loved what Vault was doing, and I thought Wonderbound was going to be like the next like step from that, which it is. And so, yeah, we blind submitted it there, and just an open submission. And it was like Christmas of like 2019 that we got like a little email saying that they were interested. And then it was like the beginning of that year when we kind of like started this journey. So it was a few years like our pandemic comic.
Yeah. And not to step on your toes, Brandon, but it's Becca she's actually the editor.
Oh no,
Becca Taylor.
no, Becca Tay, but the lady Becca Carey is.
Oh
the,
yeah, sorry, I'm getting
letterer.
I'm
sorry.
getting
No,
my
it's okay.
Beccas mixed up.
Lisa was
Too many Beccas.
Lisa did all the art.
Too many
She
Beccas, yeah.
did like everything, like
Yeah.
the colors and like she worked her bum off.
But yeah, so sorry, where I was going with that, it was such an amazing process for I felt so fortunate that we got it in with Wonderbound, and Becca Taylor has just been an incredible resource in terms of getting the story to where it is now, what's manifested into what is going to be in stores, and such an amazing process and experience as really like a fledgling writer. For my part, having this awesome editor come on and guide this thing for us and really shape and mold it for us together was really, really awesome. And just a really, really great experience. The team at Wonderbound has been nothing but aces.
Yeah, with Becca and Adrian there, it feels like you're cheating. Like they are so invested in story.
It's the game genie of writing.
It totally is, and it's like they see to that heart of what you want to say and help pull you there. And it's when we do a lot of commercial stuff, sometimes you're almost like fighting against the client and what they want. You want them to get something good, but sometimes there's just that disconnect where I think they might have a different vision or just their experiences might be different. It feels like we're all like focused in on the exact same thing. And it's pretty amazing and special. And that's why the book is what it is because we had just everybody like a relay race where everybody's like I don't know, the anchor person. You're like, what? Oh, they took that way faster than I thought they would.
Yeah,
it's been really cool to sort of be cheering from the sidelines as some of this has been happening, because I would hear like little bits and pieces here and there. And when I found out that you folks had been working with Vault, I was so excited because, like you're saying, they're absolutely incredible with even curation, even sort of knowing what they're looking for and really helping those projects be the best versions of themselves. I feel like Vault is one of the companies that is actually working really hard to not just to publish books just to publish books or to flip it into a different market. They're trying to tell good stories and get those to people. So that's been really cool. One of the things I really like about Ghoster Heights is it feels like a lived-in experience. Even just down to, you don't get a whole lot of stories about a young woman and her baba and this family dynamic and this version of a character. Basically, you get more of sanded off versions of like, it's just regular young lady who has family and all this. There's a lot of life in this, which is fun because there's a lot of death in this as well. And maybe speak a little bit towards maybe the goals of dealing with this subject matter, both in terms of kind of life and death stuff and even just be more specific about characters' background.
Sure. Well, I think Kelly will probably speak to the nationality of Ona, and because he's of the same lineage, and so. But I know, like, just speaking to talking about the important subject matter and the content. Kelly and I both, like Kelly had sort of alluded to already, we both really want to write stories that have a lot of meaning to them. They're not just I love the fact that we get to write in the genre, and so we're getting to play with fun genre stuff, but we really want all of our stories to be layering in a deep meaning, something that it reflects potentially our own experiences and some of the stuff that we've dealt with in our own lives potentially. So that's where there's a lot of heart that comes through and a lot of, I guess, honest emotion. So I don't know how much to tell. I don't want to spoil stuff, but the things that Ona goes through, we want a real tangibility and a relatability to the struggles that she faces. My sort of deep secret hope with the book and with all the books that I write is that they're a vehicle. So this book in particular, I come from a blended family experience. My parents divorced when I was 5. And so I had kind of a lot of people tell me growing up that, oh, kids are resilient. Like you dealt with your parents' divorce fine and you were great. And it's like, you don't know what that saddled me. That was like really the hardest thing in my whole life. And my hope is this book is a tool by which maybe kids and parents can start talking and start opening a dialogue about things that they're dealing with, so that the kids kind of have almost like a vehicle by which they can look at this and sort of a lens through which they can see how this character is dealing with her own trauma and her own struggles. And that will sort of open doors for communication. And I would love to see it used in therapy or in social work settings with kids that are going through hard times. I just think that's the beautiful thing about stories, and especially like genre stories. I always feel like genre stories have, for me, they work because I feel like they carry sort of an element of truth throughout them. And that's one of the things that I believe that people really glom onto with things like fantasy and stuff like that. So I'll leave it at that, and Kelly can talk more specifically about Ona.
Yeah, and that vehicle, like that element of like just metaphor with kids, like sometimes will hit home even harder than if you're just talking like straight to them about certain things. Or it allows us to kind of like all of a sudden make those connections in our brain, and all of a sudden see, you know, ourselves in those situations, or see where it applies to us, even though it might be different. Now with Ona, her background, my mom's family is Ukrainian. So they were from, I think my great grandparents came here, and my Baba was very much like the Baba in the book, and all my aunties, my Baba had 18 kids. So my mom had 10 sisters. So that's a lot. And so there's a lot of them in the book. I've been given a cat as a prop, so that's good. Yeah, so that's where that comes from. A lot of the way she talks, her mannerisms, even just the fact that, like, and you're talking about it not being like this kind of like generic or sterilized version of like, oh, here's a kid with their grandparent. That's how my Baba was smoking all the time. She's gonna be like, go get Baba a beer, I'll give you $5 kind of thing. And I wanted, and that's, she gives Ona some money and it says, go to the store, right? Here's some money, go to the store, get yourself something good. And that kind of just personality really kind of comes through, and it feels really honest because she's like an amalgamation of all my aunties and my Baba. And that's where we pull in she's always eating in the book, and Lisa's like, why is she always eating? I'm like, if you're in a Ukrainian family, you're always eating, and if you're not eating, something's wrong. I was a little one, and my aunties were always like, what's wrong with him? Why is he so little? He needs to eat more. Why aren't you feeding him? So Ona is often like snacking on something. She's got pierogi, she's got oatmeal, all sorts of stuff. So it's just a little bit of that culture kind of permeates it through. And I think that you see that in a lot of like immigrant cultures that have to go through really hard times. When you've had no food, the Ukrainians went through the Holodomor before they came here. It's like, you got to eat. You don't know when you won't be able to. So little stuff like that kind of comes through, and we wanted to make sure that was authentic. And we have the my family's pierogi recipe in the back. I like to say it's the best, but my aunties and uncles are like, everybody does it their own way. Don't say it's the best. We like it though. And the mushroom sauce, it takes like 5 hours to make though. It's not no kidding around, but you get 15 dozen when you're done.
Oh, that's outstanding. That's going to be a thing that I try.
It's so good.
When time happens. So that'll probably be like a Friday project because I'm off on Fridays, which is really good.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's a fun project with friends too, right? So my aunties would get together. There'd be like 4 to 6 of them, and they'd all be like working together and talking and laughing. It's like, when you would do things like that with large families, it would be like a social thing as well as a like cooking thing. And then you would have food for everyone, and then maybe for a few days.
Well, and that's like the nice thing about that community aspect is that's like a big part of this book too. So Ona's experience is one of leaving tragedy and difficult times behind, and then finding you know, a new place of belonging within a new community, and even just her experience within that community, how she impacts the people within the community. And there's just, you see that kind of, the story really is about that kind of like finding connectedness again. And yeah, that's kind of like a neat little sort of layering of the meaning of stuff, right? So pretty special to have that recipe in there and have all those sort of family connections represented in that way.
It's honestly, it's really great, especially the community aspects. That's a big part of our story. That's a big part of how Danica and I function in general. And it spoke a lot to us as we were reading. Just sort of, you can go through some stuff, and it's this found community that can lift you up, that can then provide you with something to hold on to, or even just to be a part of. And to help out yourself. Like that's huge. And it was, yeah, the book's really good.
Oh, thanks.
We're really proud of it, and like rereading it, we're like, whoa, we made a good thing. And and that whole collaborative process, like everybody made it the best it could be, right? The letters are beautiful, the coloring is beautiful. Lisa like would tweak pacing and timing to emphasize the important moments that we wanted. Like she knew what we wanted to say, and she's like, okay, we can cut the scene a little bit, like condense that, and then we can have more room for this, right? And there's moments in there that it's just like, it's 100% a team effort, where it's like, okay, it's kind of like what we had, but it's like this pure vision of what we wanted to get out there and hit people with in the feels.
That's honestly how a lot of the best projects really come together. It's this amalgamation of influences that not one person can just put forward themselves. So it just becomes, in a lot of ways, greater as a whole than in pieces.
Yeah, and that's a magic of comics when you're collaborating, right? Like we're all co-authors, right? Corey and I are the writers, but we're not the authors of the book. We're the co-authors of the book. And you know, same with Lisa. Like, you know, Lisa drew every single picture in there, but she's, you know, she authored it as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. She brought a boatload of storytelling in there and nuance that wasn't in the writing until she put it into reality. It's really beautiful. Her work is outstanding on this book, and like it just makes it feels so good to have your words there and your ideas, and then to see them come to life like that is kind of remarkable.
As artists too, Corey and I are like really picky about who we collaborate with too, and like knowing that this is a middle grade book that stands, you know, as tall as any of the other ones in terms of like quality of art. It's as good or better than anything out there, and I can, you know, I can hang my hat on that. I know for sure I can say that with confidence. I'm like, yeah, you can put it beside whatever is selling right now and be like, yeah, it looks as good or prettier.
As someone who has to go through a lot of content and who really does overthink about the industry a lot, I can say without any with any favoritism or anything, this is an outstanding book. This is going to find an audience. It's at the right place with the right people. You folks really made something wonderful, and in a world where there's so much product out there, and especially even in the ever growing and more crowded YA market, you can't just be good. You've got to be great. And this, quite honestly, is one of the great ones. I'm more than happy to be putting this into people's hands.
Awesome.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, no worries. Well, thank you both for being here. I've got the empty box wife here. Talk about the comics and stuff before the end of the night. It's been fun chatting. It's been fun seeing Kelly's daughters in the chat.
I got a screenshot sent to me, and I'm like, oh no, but I'm like, also hilarious.
It's been absolutely wonderful. We could have shared them. We didn't feel like it. But yeah, it's absolutely it's been a lot of fun. And yeah, thank you so much. And yeah, we will I'll talk again very soon.
All right.
Sounds great. Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks. Good night, guys.
All right. Well, that was Corey Lansdell and Kelly Mellings, co-creators, along with Lisa LaRose, of Ghoster Heights. It's absolutely incredible. It's out next week. We will have so many copies. And folks, you are going to adore this book. It is absolutely outstanding. I highly recommend it. And we will be putting it into people's hands, including a whole bunch of schools, and kind of talking about schools and community building. We want to talk a little bit about, before we get to the new single issues, about some of our school initiatives that we've been doing and are starting up again. So we've got a bunch of libraries back ordering books from us. We do love that. And we've are teaming up with the Edmonton Public Library System for a series of talks that they do with a bunch of people. Had an interview on Friday, and something really interesting happened at this interview, which I'm very proud of and just a little bit want to brag, because I'm that person. So we're doing this interview about doing some talks with varying different grades, and the woman who's interviewing me ends up bringing up a time that when she was a school teacher, she brought a class to Wizards, my old work, and there was a very nervous manager there who had to run a school visit. Basically, she was very worried. And it turns out this young fella did pretty good. So much so that she apparently tells the story to her colleagues about how this young woman with Down syndrome had asked if there's any iCarly comics, and I had remembered that Brian Michael Bendis had put in an iCarly reference into Ultimate Spider-Man, like had to be in the last couple weeks. Kind of looked around, found a copy, crouched down, and kind of showed it to her, and she was overjoyed. And this woman said she remembers this moment of this young person, and that was cool because that was me, obviously. I've been talking around it. I'm not doing too well solo right now, but we ended up talking a long time with her other colleague that she had there about the importance, not just of, say, because a lot of this program is about kids thinking about what happens after school in various different forms. And I didn't want to just go and just be like, why, you should do a job in comics. You make sure you do the arts and all these things real well, and you should go to the moon. What I really wanted to do was talk about following your passion and the importance of community in general. And like with Ghoster Heights, this found community of people that helps out each other, and how you live life with that. Variant Edition doesn't exist without all of you folks who are watching right now. And Danica and I don't function in general without the people that are around us. Community is so important in terms of taking care of human beings, because the larger structures exist, federal government, provincial government, municipal, etc. The bigger you get, the less helpful it can be on an individual level. And it's just that having the people around you and fostering connection when and how you can is always so important. And that's why we like reaching out. That's why we do the magic mirror at the end of all of these, because it's extremely important to us, and what we do. And yeah. Anyways, our school programs are starting back up. We're going to be doing some school visits, or some book fairs, and in general curating different books for folks. So if you have a school, if you're in school, if you have a library, if you have kids who have a school library, if you know of libraries that need content, we're here to help curate. We're here to help and tailor needs, and we're here to help be part of your community and just, I don't know, be chill with everybody. Hooray. All right, let's get to the comics. Right off the top, we have Action Comics #1. You'll have might have seen the Detective Comics 27 facsimile that came out a couple weeks ago. This is very similar. The first appearance of Superman. That'll never hit. Anyways, I guess his first appearance, whoever this character is. All done with DC stuff comes out today. So all done with all the other stories that came with it. Because it is a facsimile edition. It is a shot-for-shot reprint of the original Action Comics #1, including, of course, the Superman. But also, you could get $25 in cash prizes, my friend. $25 whole dollars. Pretty cool. And there is, of course, a note here. The comic reprinted in this volume was produced in a time when racism played a larger role in society and popular culture, both consciously and unconsciously. It is presented here without alteration for historical reference. So some stuffs. We have Action Journalism, which I am going to vamp a bit while I look up the solicitation. I know I ordered heavier on this because of when I was reading the original solicitation. And I'm excited to kind of share what this is about. It's a little bit of everything. As a sinister alien armada looms over Earth, New Arcadia's favorite intrepid reporter, Kate Kelly, has just 2 hours to infiltrate the fleet, uncover their most scandalous secrets, land the interview of the century, and avert interstellar war. And not necessarily in that order. The fast-paced, genre-hopping adventures of the Action Journalism team begins here. Now, one of the things that I really liked about this was it actually goes into a little bit of journalism during the action about the importance of getting things right and not just getting the story to get the story. Something usable for these times? How dare. Outrageous. Andrew, I am right there with you on that one. I hope for good things. Yes. For those of you who don't know, Oni is going through some rough patches. They're one of the right, there's another cover. Brandon. They're going through some let's say capitalism daddy issues. They have a capitalism daddy, an owner who has kind of cut things quite a bit, but from the looks of it, they've still been soliciting kind of past the point of what they've been doing. They've got a bunch of stuff in the can. Things are coming out a little bit better than they had been leading up to this, which is weird to say because they had some supply chain issues that were harder to get in front of when your parent company is not willing to get in front of them. So half a dozen of one, 6 pence none the richer. That's that phrase. We have Titans United Blood Pact. This continues the Titans United run, but if you're just looking for some good Titans content, this is where you're going. For fans of Teen Titans back in the day and those characters. You're going to get some more stories here. You do not have to have read the previous miniseries. And you can just kind of hop on here and go cuckoo banan, as the kids say. We have the Harley Quinn 30th anniversary special. There's much covers. We brought home the Derek Chu and the Stefan Sejic covers here. It is chock-a-block filled with all kinds of creators, a lot from Harley's past, including Cami Garcia, who did the Harley and Joker criminal, I want to say criminal intent. I don't think that's right. But his Black Label book that was more out of continuity and treated it like it would be like a CSI style. Stefan Sejic has a story in here called Submissive. If you know a lot of Stefan Sejic's work, you might see where something like that might be going with Harley and Ivy. And we have a whole bunch of other folks who have worked with Harley in the past, like the Dodsons, Sam Humphries, Paul Dini, never heard of him, Amanda Connor, Jimmy Palmiotti, and a whole bunch of other folks. I like that Cecil Castellucci and Dan Hipp are doing some stuff in here. Dan Hipp, many of you might actually know as the kind of more concept artist, art director of Teen Titans Go. That's based off of like Brain of Brains. Dan Hipp's art. Good job, Brandon. You're doing great, buddy. Na, 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 na. Vamping. We have Crashing from IDW, part of their new IDW Originals line that they've been doing with creator-owned projects. Rose Osler is a specialist. Her focus, patients with powers. At a hospital with a no-powered patients policy. When a battle between Boston's protectors and destroyers erupts, Rose is trapped between saving the city's beloved hero by day and greatest villain at night. Except Rose could become a casualty when she is forced to risk her recovery. As Rose pushes past her limits to save everyone else, will she be able to save herself? Kind of like a Marvel's Night Nurse type of thing. I've been really excited to read this one. The writer is Matthew Klein, who actually works as a comics rep for Penguin Random House. And artist is Morgan Beam. We have the next installment of the Batman One Bad Day Two-Face. This is done very much to evoke the Killing Joke style stories. The idea behind this is to tell a Killing Joke style story with these characters with absolutely fantastic creators like Mariko Tamaki doing this one with Javier Fernandez, Jordi Belair doing the colors. You're going to get something intense. Mariko Tamaki is coming off of an absolutely stellar run in Detective Comics. One of my favorite Batman runs of all time. Very cool. And Andrew's right. The Amazing Joy Buzzards. I loved that book. It's too bad it was written by a ding-dong who didn't pay his collaborators ever. Good times, boy. We've got Bloodshot. He is a cranky boy. This is Valiant's first mature readers book, and for good reason. Is gory as heck. All of these stories are single one and done stories from Dennis Camp and is it John Davis Hunt? Yes, it is. What did Clean Room with Gail Simone and The Wildstorm with another Ding Dong Rider. Great art. Wildstorm, the Wildstorm was great too. He has a kind of detail. I would say a little this side of Jeff Darrow's like bonkers. I'm gonna do every little line, every little detail-y thing in this world, and puts together something pretty brutal but really cool. Who can tell when Brandon's vamping for time? Is it everyone? It might be. In which case, you all earn sweet thumbs up and a wink. We have Eternus from Scout. From creators Andy Serkis and Andrew Levitis. It's 360 CE. The great god Zeus is long dead, brutally murdered in his own temple some 30 years prior. Hercules, Zeus' son and champion, spends his days drunk and depressed as the old gods struggle to stay alive after decades of Christian disruption. And when Athena's temple is sacked by a mysterious centurion looking for a powerful relic that once belonged to Zeus, the old gods are convinced they have found Zeus' killer. Now, the mighty Hercules must sober up long enough to keep this lone witness, a 9-year-old blind priestess, alive long enough to identify the killer and finally find justice for his dead papa. It says father, but I like to papa. Now, this next one has been one of these newfangled Substack upstarty books from Donaldson Cates, and Ryan Stegman. I was going to think of a longer thing for Ryan Stegman, but I refuse. We got Vanish from the Kids Love Chains press. I do love the line Kids Love Chains. It comes from like a Stanley thing with like Todd McFarlane, where they're creating a character together. Kids love chains. Oliver Harrison was a mythical hero who once slayed the greatest threat to his realm before hitting puberty, but that was then. As an adult, Oliver leads an average cookie-cutter suburban life, aside from the fact that he's mentally unstable and massively paranoid and smokes like a chimney and gets blackout drunk every night to hide from his horrific nightmares. Will the arrival of a superhero team called the Prestige prove the madness isn't all in Oliver's head? And what about all of that epic fantasy crap from his childhood? Join us for a tale for a brutal as hell tale of magical worlds, gifted youth, evil sorcerers, superheroes, war, blood, guts, and death that punches you right in the face. I was listening to a podcast earlier today where Ryan Stegman talked about how the germ for this idea came about when he was doing a podcast with Donnie, and Donnie was a little bit trolling him about Harry Potter. He and his partner really like Harry Potter, and Donnie Cates does not, and for a lot of reasons. But one of the things that he talked about is just like, there's so many books, or that they ended up talking about. There's so many books, there's so many series, there's so much out there where these children are put through extremely traumatic experiences because they're the chosen one. They have to save the world. And there hasn't really been a lot done about what happens after this point. They've experienced some hardship, some death, like the weight of the world on their shoulders, just absolute madness. Wouldn't those kids, literal children, maybe have a tough time adjusting afterwards? And that's a little bit about what this is about, but like filtered through kind of 90s comics aesthetics. We have a couple creepums in a row here. We've got Creep Show, based off of Creep Show, the show about creeps. Well, creepy stories. This is a 4-issue series that's coming out from Skybound, and it will feature a bunch of different rotating artists doing creepy stories, including Chris Burnham, who does this cover here, and Paul Dini doing some writing with John McCrae, who worked a lot with Garth Ennis on a bunch of stuffs, like Hitman. And yeah, it's if you like your creepums, that's what you go. Donny Cates is the 90s. I'm pretty sure. Donny Cates is the personification of what people roughly my age thought was cool in the 90s. Or slightly older than me, probably, because I was like 6 or 7 when those started. Because yeah, that's a dude. But speaking of spookums, with something a little more nostalgia-y on my end, it's R.L. Stine. You know, what does the Goosebumps and the Fear Street? People who do the Goosebumps might notice this cover artist. That's Tim Jacobus, who did all of the Goosebumps covers. He's doing the covers for this Stuff of Nightmares. It's going to be a horror anthology series for Not the Kiddos. It's illustrated by A.L. Kaplan. And I should probably get more than like, hey, R.L. Stine did a thing, huh? But I do want to show you a really cool cover. And by cool cover, I mean Brandon nostalgia cover that they made available. Type in Stuff Nightmares. That'll get you what you need. In the first of Stine's reanimated reimaginings, you're familiar with the classic tale of a mad scientist hell-bent on creating life. But what these two demented brothers have created is something else entirely. Horror lovers won't want to miss the legendary author's return to comics in his first creator-owned single-issue series with art by A.L. Kaplan. Kids, you know what? Is that all we got for the description? Outrageous. I know what the selling point is in a lot of ways. It is R.L. Stine doing a thing. But give me more than just like, what if R.L. Stine does a Frankenstein? Well, I'll give you a little bit more anyways. In terms of like nostalgia stuff. Oh, look at that cover, baby. Hashtag 90s kids will know. That's straight out of Fear Street, my friends. And I'm not going to lie, it got me good. So we'll read this and tell you what it's actually about properly. R.L. Stine does a Frankenstein, but there's 2 creators. Oh, goodness. Thank you for the pitch. Not cranky, you're cranky. The last single issues that we have here, Weirder Mysteries from Archie Comics. The current slate of Archie anthology series is getting into the spookums, but this one has a definite Danica bent in that it's all spacey style spookums and like alien abductions and whatnots. So that's gonna be good times. Yeah. All right, there's Batman Black and White, a collected edition of the most recent 6-issue miniseries. It has a murderer's row of wild creators all the way 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Like 61 different creators are listed on this, and they're all just absolutely outstanding. David Aja, Jen Bartel, Bengal, Nick Bradshaw, Sophie Campbell. I'm like picking random. Nick Darrington, Paul Dini, Rachel Dodson, Terry Dodson. It's just a lot of good people. Chipo Zdarsky's, Ramon Villalobos, James Tynan IV. These are all short stories. They're all tight remarkable. There's, a few things that don't quite hit in this anthology series, but the utilization of what they do here is absolutely outstanding. And in a lot of ways, back when Denny O'Neil was running the Batman line, he did have some Batman black and white stories running in the back of one of his books. And this was to get a lot of maybe some slower talent, maybe some talent that didn't have the time to do like full on series or whatnot. We could drop in and do something really cool. And so you've got all these really wild creators. Daniel Warren Johnson. Carl Kerschel. My goodness. Tom King. Get out of here. Get out of here. Mad at how many people are in this that are good. Let that be a lesson to you. Less good people all in one place. DC. Speaking of a lot of good people all in one place, we've got Best of 2000 AD. It's finally starting to come out. It was originally intended to be a single issue series. Pandemic era. But the pandemic happened. Just a little pandemic to throw things for a loop. Now we are getting a mix of eras in this wonderful curated series of Best of 2000 AD. Here, we're getting quite a wide swath, including one of my recent absolute favorites. Oh my God, Brink from Dad Abnett and Ian J. Colbard. Brink is absolutely fantastic. It's basically, think kind of like The Expanse, but more Britishy, and focused on just one station in general. I absolutely love it. It's so great. But you also have great work here from Alan Moore. I know I'm leaning on that joke, but it amuses me every time. And there's only so much my brain is capable of just being like ha-cha-cha at the moment. But like a whole bunch of stuff from like Alan Grant, who you might know have as of having done some of the great Batman stories of the late 80s, early 90s, and just like a whole bunch of wild characters, including Strontium Dog from original creators John Wagner and Carlos Esquera. You got your Judge Dredd here, of course you do. Also Anderson and a bunch of stuff that you might not have heard of. If you've ever been curious about 2000 AD and the types of stories that they put out, 2000 AD is one of my absolute favorite things in comics in general. I love what it's given us. Andrew can attest, Zombo, maybe one of the greatest creations in comics history. That's my personal opinion on Zombo. Because it's just like super bonkers. A take on just sort of like somewhat celebrity culture, but world stuff, and then just like a weird zombie creature who's trying to be helpful but will eat your face. And things like I don't know, dropping out of like a plane and then like shooting your guns at the ground to slow you down before you hit the ground. That type of logic. It's super wild. No Zombo yet, Andrew. I would be absolutely shocked if they didn't include it in later volumes, because they're going to be 6 volumes, I think. We've got Bloodstained Teeth, Volume 1. Meet Atticus Sloane, misanthropic criminal, avid vinyl collector, and member of the aristocratic vampire cabal, the Firstborns. For the right price, he'll turn you into vampire too. After all, immortality isn't cheap. This story has been absolutely wonderful, really mixing in crime noir stuff with just like family drama. It's like basically some Vampires Sopranos shit, but like with kind of like a neon Technicolor color palette. Really bright hits of cyan and is it magenta? That's the M. and the yellows and all that. It really does hit the 4 colors really hard. It lives in that, which is this like interesting juxtaposition of sort of like this more noir style storytelling with these bright, not even pops, just like this brightness mixed with the kind of darker tone of the story and vampire. Yeah. We've got the first volume of Dark Knights of Steel, baby. It's the series from Tom Taylor and Yasmin Putri, some work from Bengal as well, that gets you a look at the DC universe from a decidedly medieval realm. So it's one of these very specific realities where you cast these characters with medieval shades, and my goodness, is Tom Taylor always so good at this stuff, taking very personalized character moments and beats and really informing the choices as to why they might be in certain positions in these alternate realities. Absolutely fantastic. This is the first half of that run, and is one of my favorite DC things happening right now. Okie dokie. And finally, we have Giantess, a new book from Magnetic Press. You can tell because it's got the curvy book. The bookends. These aren't bookends. Corners. Curvy corners. She was once celestial, an orphan born in the heart of a mountain, youngest of a family of 6 brothers, a young woman eager for knowledge. Tireless surveyor of horizons, peaks, and oceans, familiar with mermaids and witches, a serene princess, a steward of the wide open world, a true giantess. All of the art in here is absolutely splendid. You get all this beautiful rendering. I would peg this as sort of, if Hilda is sort of your younger reader, middle grade-y thing, this is definitely stepping that kind of experience up more into a YA area. And it's absolutely gorgeous, stunning work that I can't wait to dig into more of. All right, nerds. Thank you for sticking with me through all of this. You're all wonderful, and we appreciate you being here. Give me one sec here. But now it's that time of every show where we say hello and we see you. It's our magic mirror section. Am I going to get this button right? No, I'm not. There we are. Bugs in here. Outrageous. All right. So this is when we look out and we see all of you happy people. Thank you for joining us. We're so happy that you're here. We're very thankful for Kelly and Corey to be here as well to talk about Coaster Heights. We will be having so many copies coming in about a week or so. And some of those will be yours for the low price of the cover price of the book. Thank you all for watching. I'm looking out there. I'm seeing Danica. Wow. Hey, you're looking great. And you too can see Danica in store, along with the one and only Foley. The remaining days of this week that we're open. You can also compliment her on her fantastic haircut. It's really nice. She's very talented. I see Eric. Hey, Eric. We'll talk about that book shortly. I see Ben. Hello, Ben. I see the one true Andrew. Hello. I see Mina and Verity. That was a lot of fun in the comment section on YouTube. I see Margaret. I see Sean. And I think that's it. I think it is. All right. Thank you so much for being here. been a day. It'll be a night. It'll be more days going forward. It'll all be good. Thank you all for being here. We will talk to you all again soon.